which leads us to the idea as a graph, one x can only go to one y value. So it says, and that's where the vertical line test comes in. It says if any vertical line intersects the graph in more than one point, the graph does not define a function. So it says I pick a single x value. Remember, what that would be is an x coordinate point. I look at the graph. If I draw a vertical line, this x value has a y value. But I also look, this x value has a different y value. Same x, different y. So if I were looking at this as a map, this x value goes to a y value. It also goes to a different y value. So if I were to look at it, this x is going to two different y's. So it has to pass the vertical line test. You pick out an x value, any x value, it can only go to one y value. In this particular instance, it's going to cut the graph in two places. That means it's going to pick up a coordinate points that have different y values. Yes?
And so how do you determine where you draw the line? So what
Doesn't matter.
So if you drew that at the very beginning where both lines intersect at that one?
But it has to be that way all the way across. Okay. So you say, okay, well, it passes here. But then if I move over, does it pass? No. So it's got to do it across the whole graph. So if I were to look at this guy, I could pick any x value across the whole graph. How many times does it intersect? Once. So this passes, and I'm going to call it the VLT because I'm lazy, the vertical line test. So this is a function. And this is fails the vertical line test. So this is not a function. Is and not. Function notation. This is the notation for a function, and that's itty bitty baby. F of x, and it's read f of x. If I separate it out, this is not f times. They're clumped together. F is the name of the rule. So it's the name of the rule. And x is the variable in the rule. So f is the name. And by the way, we're going to later on see that we can have words as names. log of x. And if you're going to take trigonometry, sin of x, it's a sin. But no, it's a sinusoidal function. It's really said the sine of x, not the sin of x. So, but there are words that are functions. So it's the name. The name is f. You could call it whatever you like. You know, you could say since it's Friday, we might be happy. You could call it happy face of x. It's just a symbol. It just says that's the name of the rule, so that you know in the list of rules you may be given which rule you're going to use.
So you're declaring the variable?
So you're declaring the rule, and when you look at what's in the parentheses, that you're declaring your variable that's in the rule. That means if there's an x here, I would expect that my rule would have x's in it. So if there are x on the left-hand side, there better dang well be x's on the right. So, because that's where you've declared your variable. You almost sound like computer programming. You've done some programming?
Yeah.
Okay, yes. In this particular instance, F would be like the subroutine.
Yeah.
So, and then X would be what you're going to pass through your subroutine. That's your variables. So if you want to put it in programming language. Cool. Now, how do we evaluate a function? I don't like the size of this. Would like to blow it up, but once I start recording, I can't do that. Let me do this.